Good morning, Fever and mostly Caitlin Clark fans. So, you know, I've been thinking about this, but when I was young, and I'm talking about, you know, around the time Mr. Bird came to the Celtics. So that would have been probably when I was about 30, and that's young to me right now. There was this thing, and I know it's urban legend, but there was this thing called the Sports Illustrated curse. As soon as somebody was put on the cover of Sports Illustrated, there was some calamity that happened. Okay, and I know it's urban legend. Usually if something befell somebody, it was an injury that you obviously can't foresee when you're printing a cover, right? And while I know it's urban legend, I just have to say this, okay? You know what I'm saying here? What the heck? But anyway, that's really not why I did this video, but I believe it or not, this whole thing with Caitlin Clark is now becoming a bird thing for me. I mean, I was fully enmeshed, and now I am once again at the age of 71, fully enmeshed, okay? And I believe Caitlin Clark is going to do for the WNBA what Bird, Magic, Jordan did for the NBA. There's no question about it. And by the way, so does Larry Bird. So does Michael Jordan. So does Steph Curry. So I am fully entrenched in Caitlin Clark right now. And, just a couple of other things I think we should talk about, because one of them is exceptionally good news, but I'm going to save that for the end. So Caitlin Clark, when they went to New York to play that last game, signed, I don't know, over 100 autographs. Okay. Yesterday, she owned Chicago. She signed over 200 autographs. I mean, I have a video I'm going to put in here. I mean, people were just flooding the arena trying to get to her. And this is what people do not understand when I say she's the face of the WNBA. Yes, on the court too, but it does not matter where she goes. Okay? Caitlin Clark is the most sought after athlete on the planet right now. She is in the top 3 of the most recognized, most respected athletes in the United States, actually in the world right now. And the WNBA ought to be embracing that and using that to their advantage, but they're so stupid that they simply can't see it. They think they can build a brand out of thin air, and it just doesn't work that way. Larry Bird brought millions of new viewers to the NBA when he came out. So did Magic Johnson. People that never paid attention before. And then guess what? When Michael Jordan came along, he did the same thing. Every generation has a person that brings them in. It's not just everybody is going to wake up one day and say, oh shit, I think I'll turn on the WNBA. It's not working that way. Look, I am paying $100 a month for Fubo because I wanted more Fever games than anybody else, okay? I wanted to see Caitlin Clark play basketball. I did not sign up for the WNBA's TV program because there's not enough Fever and not enough Caitlin Clark there. But Fubo gives me access to the Fever and Caitlin Clark across all of the channels, the national TV, ESPN, wherever she's playing. There's only maybe 4 games I don't get. And for those 4 games, I'll buy something else to see her for those individual games. I can do that. So there is always some draw, okay? Just as what is going on now with Caitlin Clark with youth basketball, it's the Caitlin Clark effect. It's a real thing. More kids in Indiana now are signing up for basketball. Okay. At one point, they had 4 teams. Now they've got 44. So girls now have girls' teams to play on instead of playing on boys' teams like Caitlin Clark did. Caitlin Clark is the face of the league, because she is that good a basketball player. That's where it all starts. It's rooted in her talent, her once in a generation talent. And that's the other thing that the WNBA doesn't get. And certainly that Stephanie White doesn't get. Coach Parseltongue, as I call her, speaks out of both sides of her mouth, and neither side makes sense. It's not like somehow it was magic and people just paid attention to her. They paid attention to her because of what she was doing. She broke Pistol Pete Maravich's college basketball scoring record that had stood for 54 years. She broke the women's record, and then she broke Steph Curry's three-point record. She came into the WNBA with a bunch of people naysaying her, and she blew the doors off the WNBA in her rookie year. And the only reason she's not blowing the doors off the WNBA in her sophomore year is because she's been injured for most of it. And that's my next conversation. So there's a guy out there that has an actual video channel that I pay attention to. His name is Robin Lundberg. I believe he's written for Sports Illustrated in the past, so he's kind of a straight shooter. And apparently, they are now talking about Caitlin Clark being back the 3rd week of August. And of course, we don't know what the 3rd week of August is, right? Because August 1st is right around the corner here. All right, the last game of July is next Wednesday. So I think they're probably counting August 1st as a week, right? And I think that now ESPN's guesstimate of August 12th is not far off, okay? And they're talking about that being the time when there'll be 11 games left for the Fever, and she can ramp up, get herself back into shape, game shape, because she is shooting and all of that stuff, but she's got to get her feet under her, and then she'd be available for the playoffs. So I consider this exceptionally good news. That would have given her a total month out of action, which is probably, if they had done that at the beginning, maybe these, continual injuries would not have happened. We can't second guess that. We don't know that. She is also being targeted, and we have to accept that. We have to understand that. We can't let people gaslight us, okay? But now, because they can get away with it, the dirty players, and that's what they are, they're doing it to other people as well. They've done it to Aaliyah Boston, they've done it to Sophie Cunningham, and they've done it to a couple of other people. So all of this has to stop. And once the referees start blowing the whistles, you will see this whole freedom of movement thing. Freedom of movement doesn't mean you get to beat the tar out of players that are good. That's not freedom of movement, okay? Freedom of movement means you play legitimate defense without fouling. And it's not always going to be possible. There are going to be hard fouls, and we have to accept that too. That's the reality of playing in the WNBA. But what we're looking at here, when we throw players to the ground, stand over them glaring, make snide remarks, and then, poke them in the eye and knock them to the ground from behind, that's not hard fouls. That's literally assault. But going for the basketball, hitting somebody on the arm, sometimes that happens. Blow the whistle. When players knock other players down like that off the ball, and when the play isn't even in, player's not even active, that's immediate ejection. That's a flagrant 2, immediate ejection. That kind of stuff has to happen. When that stuff happens, this stuff will stop. Because anybody who's arguing that they need to be able to play hard and foul people and push people and slap people and knock people to the ground because they're trying to win a championship, that's not what that's all about. It is not. And yes, in the playoffs, they will let more things go. I get that too. That happens in the NBA as well. Freedom of movement means that you get to play your game because that's what people are paying to see. People are paying money, big money in some cases, to see Caitlin Clark play basketball, to see what she was able to do in college. That translated to WNBA, and she should be allowed to play that way in the WNBA. So again, I've made great progress on the petition. I'm just letting you know. In my other life, I've done a lot of these things, but I do have people in my other life that I am going to send that petition to now by email and have them look it over and make sure I haven't missed anything. And when I get that back, hopefully tomorrow afternoon when I get out of work, I told them I'd like to have it back by tomorrow morning. So when I get home, it's there. We can start pushing that petition out so that we can have true freedom of movement in the WNBA for everybody who wants to play basketball and not watch WWE wrestling. But the most exciting thing of all of this is the notion that Caitlin Clark is coming back. Okay? And look, I've seen comments out there that, Caitlin's sitting on the sidelines and she's being ignored by her teammates. I'm not sure that that's actually true. So you've got to remember one thing. When they're sitting there on the sidelines and the game is on, they can't be yucking it up. They have to be paying attention to what's going on the court, even if they're not on the court. All right? So I have video that I will also put in the description that shows Caitlin Clark with her teammates on the sideline yesterday in Chicago. And again, let me just remind you guys, please like the videos, please subscribe, please share if you can, because that helps us build a bigger community, and that's a good thing. And also, always, please check two things. The description of the video, because I put links in there that are really cool, and also the posts that are on the YouTube channel, because I put stuff in there too. You guys have a great day, and I may be back this afternoon. I've got something planned for tonight, but I may be back this afternoon to answer questions from our community. But again, something came up, and I wanted to make sure I convey to you what the latest information is on Caitlin Clark returning to the basketball court, because this was not just ESPN. It is apparently now coming, according to Robin Lundberg, from the Fever themselves. I will talk to you all soon.